Good. Okay, take a motion to approve the minutes from our meeting on December 18th. Oh, that's right. This will come. Motion by, sorry, Mr.
Yep.
Laverty.
First and second.
Yep. Second by Mr. Kinley. Any questions on the minutes from the meeting?
Motion passes 7-0.
Right. So, Mrs. Huck, you want to give us a?
Sure, I just have a few things. Just a quick update regarding phase 4 of our capital project. We have submitted to SED and indicated that we would want an expedited review, so that process is underway. So hopefully, if the timeline holds true, we will have SED approval by March-ish, and then be able to go out to bid, and then we'll know exactly how much work we can capture as part of phase 4, because we know what the budget will allow. So we have those two items. We'll see where we end up, and then we can make some decisions on how to move forward. Just as a reminder, the governor is going to give her state of the state address next Tuesday, January. I said June. I'm thinking warmer weather, I guess. January 14th. And at that time, we anticipate that she will discuss school aid funding. And it used to be, if you recall, you would get your state aid runs the same day. Now it's usually a day or two later, but hopefully by the end of next week, we will have our state aid runs that will give us at least a starting point as to what we can anticipate in regards to state aid. Teresa and I have a budget development workshop scheduled for next Friday, an extended session where we're going to continue to plan and move forward. That's obviously an important piece. If we could have that, that would help us. There are still some big items missing, like insurance costs and things like that. However, we're going to continue to move forward, and we will be prepared to present a first run through to you at our February 5th meeting, so that you can provide comment, feedback, and that will help inform our work as we move forward. The next item is our April board meeting. As Donna and I were sitting at our desks talking between a wall about different things, getting ready for this meeting, we were looking at our meeting schedules moving forward, because February's meeting is a little earlier than that. But then looking on into April, we both realized that currently our meeting is scheduled for spring break week. And she is. Jayla. Okay, no worries, no worries. We're glad you're here. Yeah, so, our April currently is April 16th, which is spring break. So that's obviously a conflict. So we are going to need to move it to the following Wednesday, April 23rd. So if you could just update your calendars accordingly, and then Donna and I will work on all the notifications. We also realized that it has to be on the 23rd, but that's the BCSD budget, admin budget vote, day that's been designated by the BCSD board president. So the BCSD board president basically designates a day that all the component school districts within that BCSD must vote on the admin budget of the BCSD. And it has to be, it's the craziest thing. They have to do their public hearing between April 1st and April 15th, and then the components have to vote between April 16th and April 30th. But needless to say, that's why it's April 23rd as well. So I think it was just a typo, or we thought it was the 16th, and then it never got changed when we realized it was actually the 23rd. So we'll make that change. And then the last item to share with you is that Teresa and I met with the agency that's helping us with an electrification plan for our fleet. Until obviously that mandate is changed or modified, we have to plan for what has been presented. And that's only purchasing electric buses after 27 and only being able to run the electric buses on the road after 2035. So they are going to do an on-site visit with us February 4th, I think it is, Teresa. And they're going to come out and inspect our facility, but then also look at our connections. And then they will be able to do the work that we've asked them to do to really create a comprehensive plan for us. They're a good group of individuals we're working with. They obviously have a knowledge and a lot of experience, as much as you possibly can. You know, in other states, they've moved further along than we have. So they've worked in those other states. But if anyone can give us the information that we need, I'm confident in what they're gonna do for us. They asked us about our insurance company because there's been a lot of, rumor and innuendos about not being able to store electric buses inside. And that would be a shame when you have a facility like ours. But the rumor and innuendos are because of the concern with fire. That's why some insurance companies are saying they will not continue to insure you if you store your electric buses inside. So they said they too have heard these rumors and innuendos, but in their opinion, there has been nothing more than that. No one has actually drawn the line in the sand to say that. But we've had some pretty hard lines drawn in the sand with our consortium. And so we have sent them that contact information, and they're going to arrange for a conversation with those individuals to see exactly what is going to be regulated regarding bus storage from the insurance company's viewpoint, because that will definitely impact how we move forward. Where do you put the chargers? How do you store the buses? All of that. If you can't use the inside of the facility. So much more to come. Yeah, we're gonna learn a lot. That's what I'm gonna say. We're gonna learn through this process. So with that, in the discussion, transportation and buses, I'm gonna turn it over to Teresa, and she's gonna talk a little bit about the information that she has shared with you.
I gave you a listing of our buses. And drivers, mileage, all of that. At the bottom of the current runs we have, I've listed the 3 new buses. Hopefully they will be here by February. That's going to be for the fall of 25, 26. Below that, you'll see the spares that we currently have. The ones that are in orange are currently out of service. We're waiting to get them fixed. It's major stuff like the frame underneath that we had to have repaired. So those are out of service right now, waiting to be approved. They're fixed. Well, one is still being fixed, but those will be coming back into service. But when we do get, and then on the other side, you'll see our vans, the Suburbans, the 2 on the top. Steve's run is to Rochester every day. And then we currently have 1 run going to Corning. So this is the whole fleet that you see here, and you can see the mileage is on the spares that we have. It seems like a lot of spares, but realistically, like Friday, we have 5 buses going out on athletic trips while everybody's still on their route. So we're kind of tight on Friday. I just told Micah nobody else is allowed to be sick or anything else because I don't have enough drivers. But we have done a letter of intent with Leonard to get 4 more buses for 24, 25, or for 25, 26. And what that means is we are going to propose that to the voters to order those buses, because we will probably, granted, we're going to be needing the 3 new ones, but then we have the option of trading in either 1 or 4 of our spares, so that we'll have a newer fleet, just so that depending upon if we can get the electric buses pushed back, we still have good diesel buses to use. And with the mileage that are on our spares and the repair costs to get those repaired to keep them running, we will be ahead of the game. So I wanted you to see what we have in the current budget for this year. We have $50,000, and probably what we're going to do is I'm going to look into the prices, because we have to buy well, we don't have to, but we would be buying a new van. The one we have right now is the Toyota, and that's half electric, half gas. I don't know what you would call it, the hybrid.
Yeah.
And that one is the one Steve's taking to Rochester, and you can see we have 124,000 on that already. So we would probably be taking that or one of the other ones and replacing the one that we use for driver's ed. That van there is a 1970, believe it or not, or it's bus 70. It's a 2010. It's a 2010 and it has 122,000 miles on it. So what I'd like to do is get rid of that one and have a newer one for driver's ed. And then have one that's very economical to do the end to Rochester, because we'll have that for quite a while yet.
So like part of our fleet rotation. Really.
Yeah.
That's really what this is.
So, you know, that's just, you'll see that in the budget, it'll be one of the proposals, separate proposal that the voters would have to vote on, but it would be for 4 diesel buses. And depending upon when we get those buses will be the next thing. So that's why we did the letter of intent with Leonard, is so that hopefully they will have enough buses in production so that we could get them in the 25-26 school year. So
And that's
just
exactly
wanted
what we
to-
did this past year too. We did the same thing with the
Yep.
separate referendums. So. Any questions?
Questions from the board or? Reserve?
All we have then.
Do you wanna wait or you wanna give us a quick update? Or you good? Good. Okay. What's going on with the students?
We didn't really have as much to talk about during our last student council meeting because it was Tuesday and it was the start of the week. However, we've decided that we're gonna have the Valentine's Day dance again for the middle school. We haven't had all the details set in stone, but we're hoping for it to be on February 13th. And we're gonna separate the grades from 4th through 6th, or no, it was 4th through 5th and then 6th through 8th, I believe. Because they have to get permission slips for the low, for the younger grades compared to for the, like, older grades. I believe that's about it. There wasn't really much to talk about.
Yeah, so
It was a very short meeting.
Student council did a fabulous job with some activities though before the break that Friday. They did a really, really nice
Yeah.
job. School spirit, a lot of fun, a lot of holiday fun.
Yeah, we had to we had to basically reshift our entire schedule for the pep assembly because Mr. Thorpe wasn't able to be the MC because they had a middle school pep assembly. And we had to find a bunch of new people, so it was a whole thing.
But you wouldn't have known. It was a great time and everything.
Oh,
Yeah, I did.
Thank you, Jayla.
Thank you.
Just a couple of notes on my end. I did sign some documentation for a unit for the pump station out at the bus garage. So with that done, with the resolution we passed last month, I think we're all set with the whole town of Bath sewer project. So all that was knock on wood, done with that, it's settled. Just heard some great community feedback. I know Amy shared that with us regarding the Rammart. Thought that was fantastic. That's being well received. So great job with that. And then Kelly mentioned the state of the state, so I'm sure some of you get these flyers that come out about what to expect from that. One thing you didn't mention that we're gonna have to start preparing for that's gonna be very interesting is that there's likely gonna be legislation for a cell phone ban in classrooms. So when that legislation comes through, we'll add, once it becomes a law, we'd have to pass a policy. But just to keep that on your radar, because that's gonna be probably a very divided. So just to be prepared on that one. And also there was nothing that I've seen come out where there's gonna be stopping this mandate on electric buses. So unfortunately, we have to keep proceeding with that. So some notes from my end, no committee reports. Report from Cameron from the Chase was in our packets. Any questions? Cameron, anything you want to highlight for the?
No, I mean, the capital outlay, we're just kind of on hold until the spring when we get the pool area. Phase 1, the chiller project, they're working upstairs in the mechanical room, but until the weather warms up, we can't do a whole lot with that until we can start that piece of equipment up. VEW for phase 2, we had a really productive Christmas break. We got quite a bit done there, so we're just narrowing into kind of the punch list items and getting ready to close that project out. And then here at the high school, phase 3, we're moving forward. Demolition on the cafeteria is going well. some material delay issues that we're dealing with the first middle school office work area that we're working through, but overall on track to close out at the end of the summer.
Questions from the board? Thank you. Any questions on the report submitted by the administrator? The team that was in your packets? Good, and as always, thank you all for submitting those. Take a motion to approve the recommendations from the Committee on Special Education. Motion by Mrs. Cleveland, second by Mrs. Rusak. That vote will be coming to your screens here in just a minute. Oops.
That's it, 6-0. That's fine, it's 7-0. There was only 6 of you tonight, right?
You're right, yeah. In your packets was a proposal from the Spanish Club for a trip to Costa Rica. Shorts here, is there anything you want to highlight or?
Sure, I actually have like a little packet to give you guys, just to give you some insight on what we plan to be doing and our itinerary, safety, all the destinations we're gonna hit, all that fun stuff. You're welcome. Take that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? So, the Spanish Club would like to go to Costa Rica. Costa Rica is known for its biodiversity and protected national reserves. So during this tour, we're gonna have a full-time tour director, comprehensive sightseeing of the natural attractions. We have round trip flights and comfortable transportation, for 8 days and then 3 meals daily as well. So it's an all-inclusive trip. We flip it over, we go to our itinerary. Day 1 and 2, we're gonna arrive in San Jose. We're going to go to a coffee tour and hike a volcano. Day 3, we're kayaking on Lake Arenal, and we're going to La Fortuna waterfall hike, and then relaxing in the hot springs, what I'm looking forward to the most. And then day 4, we're traveling to Monteverde, and we're gonna do a food workshop. Day 5, Santa Elena Cloud Forest tour, and then tree planting. Students are gonna be able to pick out a tree and plant it in ES Reserve, so that's kind of nice. And then zip lining, which I'm also very excited for. Day 6 and 7, we are traveling to the Pacific coast, visiting rainforests, and taking a crocodile boat cruise. And then after that, we are going to Manuel Antonio National Park, where students will see monkeys. They are very excited to see monkeys. And then day 8 and 9, we are going to Sarchi and back to San Jose, and then having final dinner and returning home. Our travel dates, we would like to request March 27th through March 4th. That would be a Friday, so students would miss school on Friday and come back on Saturday. That will allow Sunday for rest, since 8 days of traveling is quite a lot. But there is the option for leaving March 28th, which would be on Saturday, and coming back on a Sunday, but that would not allow for any rest. So that would be our requested dates would be that Friday through Saturday. And yeah, I think that's all I need to hit with you guys. We have around 34 students who are interested as of the moment.
But
Any
you're
questions?
Be doing a lot of fundraising too.
Yes,
Set
we've
costs and, yeah.
Yeah, we've done a fundraiser already. We plan on doing another fundraiser in November, as well as we're giving students the opportunity to work concession stands and as well as taking admissions.
Any other questions from the board regarding the proposal?
You're welcome to join if you would like to go.
Oh, that's good. So you're looking for basically one chaperone for every 6 students. So that's good. Okay. Is there a motion then to approve the request from the Spanish Club? By Mrs. Kinley, second by Mr. Laverty. Any further questions
I like the option.
But I was just gonna ask which
All of
option.
They gave us two options. She asked for two options. I like the option.
Yeah, that's. Who got the motion? Yeah.
Sweet. Thank you so much.
Votes.
Passes 6-0. Option 1.
Good luck with the fundraising and,
Thank you.
yeah, it turns out to be a great trip.
I'm excited, very excited.
Right, so next we have a presentation on the portrait of a graduate. So,
Mr. Sabella, you wanna come? and show them? Just-
Earlier, how lucky it is that now when she gets a board meeting on her birthday, but she gets to present on her birthday. Excellent. Yeah. Happy birthday again. Here it comes. It's just like-
Yeah. you-
Hopefully, we were just talking about how, I looked at this PowerPoint very thoroughly last night. I was like, I hope Tuesday can explain this to us
Well, you know what, I'm glad.
in a simplified way, because there was a lot of graphics, a lot of information, and I was like,
Yeah, no,
that's
I'm,
so much.
there's a lot.
It
There
is
is
a
a
lot.
lot. I think the slides are fun. And I have a person. Just a little.
It's all you log in.
So I'm glad you brought that up because there's a ton of information out here as it relates back to our graduation measures, as it relates to New York State Ed. The part that I want us to recognize too, this has started years ago, right? So this has been a work in progress from New York State Education Department. I sent you a ton of information. That information I shared with you is almost to give that foundation of all the work that has been happening. What I want you to know, though, is when I was looking at presenting this to you all today, is just really from these three guiding questions. What are the initiatives that are out there? What are the timelines for implementation? And then what are we doing here now in our district as it relates back to these initiatives that are out there? Now, there's still a lot of things that we don't know yet. Right? I'm going to be 100% honest with you. There's a lot of things that are out there in these timelines. They're still going to require some regulation changes that aren't there yet. My guess is, and there's nothing to verify this, it all comes down to what's the governor's proposal and what's the funding streams that are going to be associated. So to come back to your point, there's a ton of information. What I'm going to provide to you now is just some little pieces of that. So I hope the presentation will make a little bit more sense from all the information I shared in the Q&As to what we have here. The 4 transformations that we have, the big changes are related back to portrait of a graduate, the changes to our credits and our learning experiences, sunsetting our diploma requirements, and then we're going to moving to 1 diploma. This is what the portrait of a graduate, what we say is just the graphic of the image. We have 7 different tenets that we're looking at. We want our students to be proficient. When I say we, I don't want to say heavily, but obviously inside of New York State. When we presented this as a rollout through our administrative group, when we looked at this, we got pretty excited. We got pretty excited about the fact that we've had some work that's already been happening related back to our critical skills, which Mr. Brzezinski, I think was that maybe 5 or 6 years ago that the team put together a list of critical skills that are not only just for our seniors, but all the way down into our younger grades. So that work has already been happening, which is exciting. The other part that I want to emphasize too is that you all have been really forward thinking about it from the social emotional component too. Not only do we have curriculums that are aligned, but we also have a social emotional integrated specialist is on staff, is out there working within our supporting our teachers, supporting our students, let alone the tiers of support that we have for our kiddos. So it's really good stuff there. So with inside there, those 7 tenets and those things we want our students to be proficient in, we are already starting to hit some of those here. When we think next to those redefining of our credits, we think about a unit of study. When we think about this portrait of a graduate, we're going to start looking at what those requirements are and how does that align to the credits for the student. Thing here, add in new requirements for CTE. in the financial literacy, I want to also emphasize, we've already done this as well. We started thinking around this years ago in our Road to Success courses, which Mr. Harrison, I think this right now is 11th and 12th grade students are starting to tackle this financial component. Now, New York State hasn't put out anything as it relates to the standards associated, so we don't know exactly what that's going to look like, but we already are forthcoming in the fact that we have something already in play. The other part here, the second bullet down, is expanding the ways in which the students show that evidence. So when I think about that expansion, there's some things that we're already doing, right? There's a lot of things that are listed here, but I also want to take this opportunity to celebrate some of the things that have been happening this year. The first thing is when we think about our work-based learning and the new hire of Ms. Hutchins to do this work at the high school level, which has really been, I know Mr. Harrison has already kind of, reiterated that in his presentations to you all, just how great that work is for our students. The other part that we're going to be sharing more information in the forthcoming months is related to the credentials and seals that we have. We've done this, the staff under Mr. Harrison's leadership has really taken this idea of what are the seals and the credentials that are out there and what can we do to make sure that we're offering that to our students. So we will be, I'm sharing with you all, like I said, in the forthcoming months around our seal of biliteracy, which is wrapping up really nicely for the work that we have there, but also looking at it from the seal of civic readiness and also to our alternative arts pathway. So just wanted to highlight those three areas there, saying there is work already in motion. It's really going to be foundational to the next year and also for our future years when we start thinking about that portrait of a graduate. Okay, a lot of those other things are already happening, but I just really want to take a moment to celebrate those pieces. The other component is that diploma assessment piece. Now, Jayla, this is going to be something you're probably thinking around too. Okay, diploma assessments, do I have to take Regis exams, right?
Yeah.
Once again, yeah, I know, I understand that. When you start thinking about someone, nothing's been passed through regulatory components. Remember, that has to come through New York State. We do stuff at our local level above and beyond. When we think about graduation requirements from New York State, what the proposals are is that they will no longer need to pass a Regis for your graduation requirement. Now, under our every student succeeds act requirements for our federal government students, we still have to partake in certain assessments. Still more information to come. This isn't really on the horizon yet, but it's there. It's close. But it's there. Yeah. Anyway. But it's a way to look at it from how are we having our students showcase the skills that they have that's different than an assessment piece. So it's going to form components. So next we're moving to what's in the fourth transformation is moving to that one diploma. Right now, we have our local diploma, our Regents diploma, and our Regents diploma with advanced designations. We also have some exiting credentials, but once again, this is just talking around that diploma piece. The part that I want us to emphasize, and kind of going back to my previous conversation about these seals and endorsements, we're doing that work right now, so we're prepared with what that looks like for our students. We also are, with that work, we want to add in any additional seals or endorsements. We already set that foundation of what that process looks like through having the communities, through having discussion and dialogue, into creating the playbook as it relates back to that. But more to come, but there's that work that has been happening. Now you're probably wondering, okay, that all sounds great. It's going to happen tomorrow. No, I told you that's not. There's a phased approach in which they're going to do it, where they're looking at it from the planning year, which is this year right now, then moving into these other pieces. They break it down a little bit farther. By the way, these slides are taken from New York State that I didn't create. These are coming right from presentations that New York State Education has done for us so far. They broke those planning phases down into particular years. So if you see that phase one is really 2 years, and then going from there. There's obviously some really great pieces inside of here that I just mentioned as far as those transformations. But there's 2 years in particular that I think are going to be really pivotal years for our work, and that's these 2 years here. When you're looking at prioritizing our learning standards, we're already doing a huge lift as relates to our ELA standards from pre-K all the way up to 12th grade. But what does that look like for all the standards that we have inside New York State in our different departments of that? And then releasing the rubrics for the portrait of a graduate and the guidance that's associated. I mentioned financial literacy, also added in climate education. I don't know if anybody caught that earlier, but that's going to be added in as another requirement. But not only are we going to do that in that last part of phase one, now looking to actually finalize those components. So doing it here, but then finalizing what it looks like in the year after. So as we're thinking, yes, all these things are preparatory, but these 2 years here, I just feel are going to be really large lifts for us. Because as you're thinking around this, we're talking about a portrait of a graduate in the requirements we have for our students to lead, but that transcends all the way down to our younger grades because every skill is built off of multiple years of instruction. So some really great things on the horizon, you know, thinking back to dating myself, class of 1998, which is great, by the way. Is just what it looked like when I walked through our halls, to what now it can look like for our students. Not our students here, but our students in New York State. So pretty exciting things, but it's not gonna be an easy lift either. So I'm gonna come back to you, hopefully. Mr. Sec, I put this, the guiding questions, all the information that was there to support the foundational information to answer these questions. What are the initiatives that are out there, but also, you know, what are those timelines, and then what are we doing currently? So hopefully I've answered those pieces just through a short little snippet, the foundational piece in the Q&A, with more to come. Any questions?
So as you get, when I think about a, what they call it, it's, go back a couple of slides, but it was one more, one more.
Yeah,
That one.
Yeah.
So capstone and all of those things, as they release these, they release everything you need to know in terms of, when you look at, how do you score that?
Sure.
How do you,
Sure.
how
Yeah,
are you objective, subjective? What plays into that? I just feel like that's so much different than just saying,
Yeah.
oh, you got a 92 or you got a 62.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so there's a lot, I think, just within things like that, that they'll offer the guidance and.
and they have to go into the seal of biliteracy piece when we think about what are the components in which you can receive the seal of biliteracy. You think back to the different checkpoints, which we've been doing a lot of work on too, is how that leads to
Right.
showing the evidence of that seal of biliteracy.
Yeah.
Yes, have they done it in small components? Yes. Have they hit all those pieces? No. And to be fair, that's one part that I worry about when I put those boxes around those 2 years. What is that work gonna look like to be able to lift that,
Yeah.
right, in all the different content areas? And there's, New York State does an amazing job, in fact, brings local control to those things, but there's also some local anxiety that comes to those things. And what are we trying to do to make sure it's uniform throughout? If they're going from one district to the next, what does that look like? So I might feel like, I think there's gonna need to be some funding support to make sure that that's done and rolled out to the districts, and then for us to be able to roll it out to our staff. Yeah, great question.
So are you going to be adding additional financial literacy and climate change courses, or can you just put them into what you're already
You know, that's a
doing?
great, I would say right now, currently, based upon those no standards for what that could look like for financial literacy, I think we're hitting the target because we don't know what that target is, other than we have to offer it, and it's been there for 30 years. I think there'll probably be some parameters around it. Yeah. If we can put it into the RTS, I think for Mr. Harrison would be the person I would tend to answer that question to be him to answer, but I think that would be how we could continue it is through the road to success. The climate one, I don't know. It could also maybe that's into the standards that they're redesigning. Yeah, great question. Any-
This is a lot, I know it's a big change in New York, but
It's still.
Which- I think it's good. We've always talked about not just relying on assessment. But assessment, measuring students, achievement and whatnot, so. Seems like this is trying to address that.
And our diverse leaders. Yes. Yep.
I'm kind of honored that I'm helping in the work-based arena with Jen, and I have one of the students that's coming to the farm, and so she actually, they have a project they're all working on. She came to the farm and she really liked it. And then that in turn changed her career course from either education or maybe business to ag business. So she's been coming for like 3 or 4 times so far, and over holiday break, she was going, oh, I miss coming up there, you know? So she gets out there and we're starting to do different things that I've incorporated her into how the farm works. Some of I'm trying to go slow so she can digest things. But the other day, I was on a Farm Bureau leadership meeting with, the state leadership through Farm Bureau. She sat there and listened to the leadership meeting that was taking place. So I'm giving her little snippets of things all around so she can, learn more about what she's looking to get into. And she's, finding it very fascinating, very interesting.
She's one of our Rammart workers, so she has spoken to me about that experience. She has gained a lot of different experience and knowledge, and really, you can tell she enjoys it. She was sketching different places on the farm when she was actually working in the Rammart, with some thoughts around the different areas and like what she had yet to learn in those areas. So yeah,
Yeah.
did a nice job.
So that, you're stoked.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and understandably so, right?
Yeah.
And she's possibly, she calls her into the connection too, which is important, and the guidance too, so she.
I think that's so important for exposure for kids too, to know what you might be interested in, or what you might be passionate about, or what you might be good at.
Right.
And just to be able to start to identify that early versus I need to decide right now what I'm gonna do, but I have no idea. And if you've had, you know, some things that give you experiences and exposure, I think that's really important.
Right, and I was on the ag panel for GSD BOCES a couple of years ago, or a year and a half ago. And I listened to Temple Grandin speak, and she said this, I stole her, or her quote on, and she said, kids get interested in things they get exposed to. But she was an autistic girl, and she had hard times relating to everything. So, but when she got on the farm and at her aunt and uncles, she started to relate to the animals. And then she got exposed to it. She said, if I was never exposed, she wouldn't be the doctor she is today. She was, you know, highly functioning autistic woman who's got her fingerprints on 50% of the animal handling in the country, you know, just from her experience. And she said, I said, can I steal your quote? And she said, if you buy my book. So I bought her book, and it's mine in Temple. Temple's my quote. But this is the total truth. They get interested in things they get exposed to. If you're not exposed, you got no idea.
I believe we're having Jen attend a board meeting soon, and she's gonna be able to share those other experiences that students are involved in.
Yeah, I think she's presenting in March, and that kind of goes back to the strategic plan with career planning and introducing that more at younger grade levels. And so we've done a little bit of work in looking at programs that do that, and so you'll learn more about those, but we've got a program that we're looking to put into place that allows us to go down to fourth grade with general career planning, and it will continue to track that. And our thought is we want to try to have our TSB, which is that road to success, sometime during the student's sophomore year, so that they can really hone in on all the things they're interested in, so that when they meet with Jen Hutches for work-based learning, they're not just picking out of thin air what they might want to go do some work with. So really tracking that for multiple years to find out what it is that they have interest in, and then taking that information, and Jen can then set up internships and other opportunities for them. So.
Thank you. Love that discussion.
Thank you.
Mr. Sedillo.
All right, now it's the technology department. So as you know, we are partnered with a company called Apogee. It's sort of confusing the way Apogee works. Within Apogee is called Trillshare, within Trillshare is called Rooms. Our BCSD app is essentially the Rooms portion. That's what all parents downloaded. That's where they receive alerts, things like that. The Trillshare side is the teacher aspect, and then Apogee is it as a whole. So this year, starting in July, it was July 1, we created a website overhaul where we completely remade our website and tried to make it more user friendly, make it more appealing, make things easier to find. And I think it looks really good. I find that things are easier to locate, things are placed where they should be, and we're constantly updating it, trying to keep people up to date as much as possible. Our teacher participation with Trillshare, as everyone knows, rolling out something brand new at the beginning of the school year is what everybody likes to hear. And usually there's a huge participation aspect of that. But all jokes aside, our teachers have really stepped up to the plate, and a lot of our district is using Trillshare for parent communication, to keep parents updated, whether it's posting one announcement a week. What's really nice is as teachers post things, notifications get sent directly to our Rooms app, which is the BCSD app, and then parents are notified just like a text message. So once something is posted, it pops right up on their phone, they get notified. So there's a field trip this week. We can also do private messaging, things of that nature on there as well. Within our BCSD app is also the alerts portion. What's really great about the alerts feature is that we can send alerts from here at the district to every single person who is in our school tool database. So for example, if a parent has not yet signed into a Rooms account, they still get notified if an alert is sent. So it's really nice that people, whether or not they are signed into the app, they will still receive those notifications based off of the numbers that we have. And it ties directly into our student information database. And once that notification is sent, that automatically gets pushed out to those numbers in our system. We also tied in coaches, both in and out of district. So we found it very confusing for parents, not only going from grade level to have different communication purposes, but also for coaches, whether it's a text message thread, whether it's using apps like Remind, things like that. So the hope was that coaches and teachers would all now be using the same thing district-wide to help everything be on the same page, to make a seamless transition from year to year for both parents and also students, so that they don't have to learn something new as well. So our coaches in and out of district, we do have a few coaches that are not working employees of our district. They all have access to ThrillShare, and they have that opportunity to use that with their sports team as well, just to help keep that consistency district-wide. The Rooms portion, I'm really proud of this active participation percentage. We have 89% of our district has at least one parent or guardian active on our BCSD app. I was really surprised to see that number, just because it is something brand new, but we're at 89% with at least one, and we're at like 72% with 2 or more tied to a student. So you know that when that alert, when messages are getting sent out, that people are going to be receiving them. That was one of our biggest goals, was to try to get as much information out to parents and guardians in our community as possible. And I think with just this room alone, with just Rooms alone, in the last 3 months since we've started it, there's been a really good turnout. And obviously the goal is to get to 100. We'll see if that happens, but I think we're off to a great start. Our communications piece, as you may or may not know, in the past, we had a handful of social media pages. There was a different social media page for every single one of our buildings, all of our sports teams. It was kind of all over the place, hard to follow. We wanted to merge it all into one place. So we just have one Facebook page now. We also have an Instagram, a Twitter or X account, a YouTube page, and then our Rooms app. Those are all the different platforms where information can be seen, information is shared. You can find out a lot about our district through these. Some analytics pieces. I use Facebook as an example, just because Facebook has our biggest following. We have 3,500 likes, so 3,500 people like our page. And then on top of that, 4.2 thousand people, 4,200, almost said 4.2, 4,200 people follow our page. So they actually took that next step further, and they are notified when posts are made. Performance over the last 90 days was pretty astonishing. We're at 1.2 million views, hits, likes over the last 90 days, just on Facebook. So in the last 90 days, all of our posts, our videos have received 1.2 million interactions, which is pretty amazing. So we are reaching people. We're reaching different countries, actually. There must be people who have family members here. And I looked a couple days ago, and there were like 8 different countries that had also viewed our page. And the breakdown is rather fascinating. We're going to be starting an esports team. It's not gonna cost the district anything right now. We have a state-of-the-art gaming lab. It's pretty amazing. It's right around the corner here. We have 16 PCs. That is really top level. So to go along with that, our district also purchased a couple PS5s and Nintendo Switches, and it's gonna run right alongside of our Apex program, which is our after-school program. You're not gonna need any additional time, things like that. All the matches are gonna be during that 3 to 5 period after school. We're going to sort of piggyback off of BOCES, and this program called Play VS is free to all participating schools, which we all love that word, free. So what this program does, they work with all school districts and they set up the matches. And you basically have your coach, your team set up, and your players can just play from 4 to 5. Once the match is done, you go on to the next week. They do a lot of the heavy lifting, so that was good for everybody to hear. Just looking ahead, we are in the process of looking at some interactive boards for our district. Our current ones are 7 years old, and the company that we originally purchased from is now out of business. So we're doing a lot of work in-house, trying to fix boards as they begin to malfunction. A lot of the touch features are starting to go. So we have been on the lookout the last couple of months. We're starting to get some in-house demos to figure out what's going to best fit our district. That's on our plate. Also some teacher devices. Our laptops are more than a few years old, and we're gonna be on the lookout to see in the next year or so what fits our district best and the best way to proceed with new teacher stations. And then something we just recently purchased, it's called Virtue. It's to help our compliance with protecting a lot of the personal data of your students. It basically is an email encryption that all the staff will have. It's going to be able to tie right into their Gmail. It's a Chromebook extension that they'll be able to automatically encrypt emails that should not be sent without some sort of protection. So that's just one step that we're taking in addition to all the other precautions that we already do here at the district. That's going to be really a nice safety feature for both us, the students, in hopes of protecting a lot of the information. So, any questions? All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
No, it's been good to have everything pushed through, so.
I know, I always
Everything.
complain about,
So,
I can't, the information, 10 Facebook pages. That's great, you've done a great job, Josh.
Yeah.
Really have.
Okay, just a few more things here. Take a motion to approve the business consent agenda. By Mrs. Busak, second by Mr. Labry. Any questions on any of the reports? That's a 6-0. In your packets as well as the proposed 25-26 school calendar. Take a motion to approve that. Cleveland. Thank you, Mr. Labry. Thank you. Any questions there? Anything you want to highlight on that or?
I don't think I need to highlight anything that's, well, I guess one thing, we did include that half-day spring parent-teacher conference that VEW has requested the last few years, instead of adding or having to change the calendar then, right? We'll just plan with it in mind, which I think makes sense. But then also know that it may or may not need to be modified as a result of any new legislation that may present in regards to New York holidays and maybe a new holiday being added. So we'll just adjust accordingly if we need to do that. I would be surprised if we didn't get a new holiday out of this legislation. We typically do. So I think it's interesting that we got Lunar New Year last year when we definitely have more Jewish people that live in New York than we do Chinese people. So I would imagine we would get a Jewish holiday, but we'll see. And And then it's just when it falls. Maybe it'll be in August and we won't have to worry about it. But, you know, I just don't know. But that's it.
Motion passes 6-0.
Also in your packets were some items that are up for surplus as part of the, really the demo work being done in the high school cafeteria. So take a motion to approve those items that are listed as surplus. Mr. Ward. That was Finley. Going good in the cafeteria so far?
Well, the demo work is really going really well. And so it's the part that usually does go really fast. Follows the demo work. But yeah, we're doing.
Just doing demo and have to worry about asbestos. or-
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
Take a motion to approve the consent, personnel consent. Please, 1 second, by Mr. Brusack. Quick, anything has to be put out of there.
Motion passes 6-0.
Okay, there are 2 recommendations for non-instructional probationary appointments. No objection, we can do those as consent. Okay, first is recommendation to appoint Audra Fusco as a teacher aide and Shannon Draper as a bus monitor. Motion to approve those appointments by Mr. Ward, second by Mr. Laverty. Questions on that?
No, it's not there.
Huh?
It's not there. Motion passes 6-0.
That covers the agenda for tonight. I know we gotta go into executive session. All right, one more item. This is a request, and only a request, for retirement for Donna, who is looking to retire effective July 30th, 2025.
Now, if we don't. stay-
I started 7 years ago today. Down to
Bracket.
Cameron's my backup.
All right, so nobody wants to move that, so I guess we.
Why don't we table it?
How long, Brad?
I'll move it.
2 to 3 years.
I'll second.
There's a second by Mrs. Rusak.
Thank you.
No.
I did love your letter. I'm
Yeah.
just gonna
Yeah.
quilt, what'd she say? Quilt
Yeah.
my days
Well,
away.
it's-
I loved it. So great.
Hopefully, do a lot of both.
Yes.
And I don't know if you heard what she said about today, that she started here 7 years ago today. So how ironic that you're accepting her letter of resignation for retirement purposes on her 7-year anniversary.
Check.
Well, everything you said, we feel the same way.
I've enjoyed my time here.
She and I've already given her a lot to say. I've already said a lot, and I guess I'll just leave it at that. But I know that she's been instrumental in my transition to that, so I can't thank her enough for all of the assistance and support that she's provided me. But like her letter said too, it's friendship that becomes, you know, out of that too. So we're very lucky. Thank you. No one's voted yet,
I
right?
was.
Motion passes 6-0.
Well, it's official, congratulations.
Congratulations.
I'll be around.
We're gonna miss you though, you've been fantastic in this role, so thank you so much. Okay, we do have to go into executive session, to discuss a couple of contractual issues. Before we do, open the floor to any visitor statement.
I'm gonna embarrass Jayla for a quick second. Congratulations. So, Jayla, she did come in a couple minutes late, but she has a good excuse. She did email me last night. She goes to Regents Review for US History. As part of our Apex. She emailed me last night saying, can I bring my younger brother to Apex? Because I have to get him off the bus. And I said, of course, as long as Mrs. Draper's okay with it. So her and her brother were here till 5 o'clock tonight. They then got on the bus and went home. And now she's back here at 6. So there's a reason that she was recommended to sit with each of you. And I think all of you recognize what an amazing individual she is. But that just shows the commitment, right? Like she's been here since.
12 hours ago.
Yeah, 12 hours.
That's a lot.
But, you know, to go home and to come back, like, is, I think it's a testament to the individual that she is, so. Very lucky.
Thank you.
Thank you for that, Mr. Harrison.
We're glad you came back.
If I must add, she came out of her study hall today to do work for the business staff as well, and I told her that her work was over. It was not, and she came in willingly and did all the work, so she's a hard working student.
Good stuff, Jayla.
Yeah. I think that's a good note to end on. We still have the part, so I'll take a motion to go into executive session. Mr. Levy, second by Mr. Wheeler, all in favor, oh, sorry. All in favor. 6-0. Thank you, everyone. Stay warm. And see you next time.
How's it going? Good. I mean, it is open.
Where to drop the students. Then we'll get ready.
It's not a mistake.
She's like, this is one thing.
Oh, did you?
She's like,
I just did.
have a good night. Thank you so much. She's like, saddest
Yeah, if you like.
things. Yeah, I mean, she missed everything, like, really everything that she could have possibly experienced. Her class and the one were like the worst.
It just goes on, it just kept going on.
Yes,
And then
yes.
the senior play too. and
Yeah,
it's
she,
like-
no play, no
And,
trip, no Costa Rica, you know, all of that. And she, that's the one thing. So I told her, she just, yeah, she just started, I'm gonna still be, she's doing it online. She's still up in Buffalo. Well, she got her undergrad, that 3 years, the college. So she's gonna get her master's in social work.
Yeah.
So started, I really like it.
Yeah.
So she really wants to get her MSW, so Cuca's online, great people graduate blah. But I told her, I'll get through that MSW.
Oh my God.
Whether it's just her and I, her dad and I. We're gonna do it. I wanna do some kind of tour. Okay. So everything is like. I'd be like.
Like a private, just like,
So let me know.
or would you go with it?
I don't know. That's, I'll have to get a hold of you when the day comes.
You just let me know. I mean, I've got connections.
I'm sure you do, but this is something that would make sure that we saw everything.
Yeah.
You know,
There's so many good businesses and good, companies out there. Like the company that we're traveling through, actually, yes, they are like super well known, super reliable. I mean,
is that always who you?
Yeah.